Harnessing the universe, your imagination's untapped power ever, considered the mind-blowing possibility that your pursuit of a fulfilling life might be sabotaged by the misuse of an extraordinary cosmic force. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Most people unknowingly commit this blunder daily. Imagination, that incredible ability to conjure mental pictures, is the most potent engine of creation there is. Yet how do most people use it? By dwelling on problems, visualizing setbacks, and anticipating the worst. The core question is, are you using your imagination to build or to destroy? You possess within yourself the same power that birthed airplanes, bridges, empires, masterpieces, medical breakthroughs and revolutions. Yet many channel that energy into fretting over overdue bills. And the worst part? It's not your fault. It's a conditioned response. From childhood, we're trained to stifle our imaginative processes, labeled as daydreaming, spacing out, effectively throttling our primary creative power source. That's how I was raised too. Have you noticed how many people self-sabotage with their imaginations? They wake up already visualizing themselves running late, stuck in traffic, facing an irate boss, struggling with bills, staring at a dwindling bank account. And when something goes wrong, they exclaim, "I knew it." But did they really know, or did they create that reality? The truth is, the mind doesn't sharply distinguish between the real and the imagined, especially when emotions are intensely involved. Countless neuroscience studies back this up. Visualizing an emotionally charged situation activates the same brain regions as if you were actually experiencing it. It's like rehearsing a scene. And what happens next? Your behavior follows that mental script, and the world responds accordingly. So what have you been rehearsing? Because if you rehearse failure daily, you'll act like someone destined to fail. You'll hesitate like someone who doubts, speak like someone who's given up. Before you know it, you'll become precisely what you feared. It's terrifying, but also incredibly liberating. Because if you created defeat with your imagination, you can also create victory. Most people don't get this. They believe thoughts are fleeting, insignificant, but thought is a form of energy, a vibration, and the vibration you maintain determines the results you attract. Constantly imagining a lack of money, the impossibility of escaping your situation, the futility of effort, you're immersed in a vibration of scarcity, and since everything vibrates, everything responds, you start encountering more situations that confirm that scarcity. It's like the universe saying, "Oh, that's what you expect. Here you go." But now imagine the opposite. Picture yourself, even without everything perfectly in place, dedicating 3 minutes daily to visualizing yourself being paid for work you love, making deals with exceptional people, receiving recognition, applause, messages of gratitude, feeling serene, experiencing time freedom and prosperity flowing. Sounds silly? It's not. This is where transformation begins. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are, and you become what you imagine every day. Some say, "But I'm not creative." I hear that often and respond, "That's not true. You are creative." The question is, are you using your creativity against yourself? Every negative thought you insist on repeating, every time you imagine everything going wrong, being rejected, falling ill, being betrayed, that's creativity. But self-destructive creativity. So start training your mind to create what you desire. Create vivid images. See the details. Feel it as if it's already happening. You don't need to understand how it will happen now. Just focus on building the image with intense emotion. That's the first step. You don't build a skyscraper from the roof down. You start with the foundation. And the foundation of your new reality is what you visualize frequently, intensely, and with conviction. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But he didn't say, conceive once. It was about conceiving it every day until it feels more real than the reality you see with your eyes. That's when things start to shift. That's when the right people show up. Ideas emerge, coincidences align, and what seemed impossible begins to happen. Listen, you have an inner power stronger than any external crisis. And that power starts working when you choose to purposefully imagine what you truly want to live. It's simple, but not easy. It demands discipline and determination to ignore your surroundings and trust your inner vision. But if you do this, even for a few minutes a day, you'll see a transformation, not from the outside in, but from the inside out. And that's the kind of change no one can take away from you. For years, my self-image was abysmal. I didn't see myself as capable, promising. I didn't even know what it meant to have a vision for the future. All I saw was a history of failures. I changed tires, mopped floors, fixed machines, and thought that was the best life had to offer. I had a completely distorted self-image, one of limitation, scarcity, and incapacity. This image shaped everything I did. I saw no way out. Then, something shifted my trajectory completely. A man named Raymond Douglas Stanford gave me a book, Think and Grow Rich, by Napoleon Hill. At the time, I barely understood what I was reading, but something within me ignited. It was like someone lit a small flame in a dark room, and I began to see, not the reality before my eyes, but the possibility of what could be. And you know what I did? I started imagining myself differently. It wasn't immediate. At first, my mind resisted. "Who do you think you are?" it screamed. "You never finished school. You know nothing about business." But even with that inner voice sabotaging me, I persisted. I closed my eyes and saw myself well-dressed, walking with confidence, leading a team, closing deals, being recognized. It wasn't true at that moment, but it was true in my mind. And do you know what happens when you sustain an image with intensity and consistency? You start acting as if it's already real. I quit my job with the Toronto Fire Department. No guarantees, no idea what would happen, and I started a cleaning business. Me, an entrepreneur. At the time, it seemed absurd, but inside, the image was already formed, and I kept that image alive every day. The result, over $100,000 in the first year, and I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have a business plan, but I had something most people haven't discovered. A clear and powerful mental image. That's what people don't understand. They think they need all the resources before they start. But the most important resource isn't outside, it's inside. It's in the image you hold of yourself. You can have all the technical knowledge, connections, certificates, money in the bank, but if your self-image isn't aligned with the life you desire, nothing will happen. You'll always self-sabotage. You'll take a step forward and retreat. You'll compare yourself to others and feel inadequate. You'll accept less than you deserve, and you'll justify it by saying, "Life is hard," or "I wasn't born lucky." But everything changes when you start working on your self-image. I'm not talking about superficial optimism. I'm talking about reprogramming the root of your behavior, what you believe about who you are. Some say, "But I've never been able to maintain a positive image. My reality is too difficult." And I understand. I've been there. But you know what I discovered? Reality doesn't change first. You change first. And when you change, reality responds. Your self-image determines your patterns, your tolerance, your risk-taking, and what you believe you deserve. As long as that image is limited, your results will remain limited, even if you strive. It's like trying to run with the parking brake on. You move, but you don't get anywhere. So start doing this now. It doesn't matter where you are, what you have or haven't. If you start building a new image of yourself, an image of someone who deserves, can, and is capable, and sustain it with focus and emotion, your mind will begin to align with this new pattern. And when that happens, opportunities that once seemed invisible will begin to appear. Doors that seemed locked will begin to open. and the resources you thought you lacked will suddenly emerge. Not because the world changed, but because you changed the lens through which you see yourself. And that lens, my friend, changes everything. Most people don't understand the power of a simple 3-minute exercise. They think they need a monumental transformation, a radical shift, a complete life overhaul to start seeing results. But that's not how it works. It's the small, daily practices performed consciously that create the greatest personal revolutions. And this exercise I'm about to teach you is so simple yet so powerful, you might doubt its effectiveness. But I guarantee you, it changes lives. It changed mine. It's changed thousands of lives, and it can change yours too. You'll set aside 3 minutes of your day, just that. And in that time, you'll close your eyes and build in detail the image of the life you want to live. But there's a crucial detail. You won't imagine what it would be like if everything went right. You will mentally live as if everything is already going right. It's not about dreaming, it's about feeling. You'll see yourself achieving what you desire, already living your purpose, already financially independent, already having the body you want, the home you desire, the life you always believed was possible, and you'll infuse it with emotion. Add sound, color, aroma, texture, movement. See people reacting to your new reality. Hear yourself saying victorious phrases. Feel the enthusiasm, relief, and gratitude. For 3 minutes, you'll step out of your current reality and immerse yourself with full force in a new frequency. Why does this work? Because when you do this regularly, you recondition your subconscious mind, and it controls 95% of what you do. Your unconscious beliefs determine whether you accept or reject an opportunity, whether you behave with confidence or fear, whether you persist or give up. Your subconscious doesn't understand pretending. It understands emotional repetition. It records what you feel intensely. It's like mentally rehearsing a new version of yourself. The more you repeat this, the more your body, actions, and words begin to align with this new image. And then the world begins to respond to this new you. I've seen people in desperate situations start using this exercise and, within weeks, report incredible things. Unexpected promotions, encounters with people who opened doors, insights that solved seemingly unsolvable problems. And it wasn't magic, it was alignment. I know it's tempting to underestimate this type of practice. The skeptical mind will say, 3 minutes, that can't make a difference. But what it forgets is that you're already practicing this exercise, but negatively. You already imagine tragedies. You already visualize yourself failing. You already rehearse the worst-case scenario every day. That's why your vibration is blocked. What I'm proposing is to change that pattern, reverse the direction, and take control of the image you plant in your mind every day. And look, you don't need absolute silence, a special place, or an elaborate ritual. You can do this sitting on the bus, before bed, during your lunch break. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and start imagining, but do it with intention. It's not about thinking for thinking's sake. It's about living, feeling, believing. And if you do this every day for 30 days, something within you will change, and that inner change will attract external changes. It's inevitable, because the reality you live is a direct reflection of your inner vibration. Want to change your life? Start by changing the image you hold within yourself, because everything created in the physical world was first created in the invisible. And that invisible is shaped by what you imagine. Use this exercise as your mental laboratory. Train your new self there. Mental rehearsal has been used by Olympic athletes, executives, artists, and visionaries. It's not mysticism, it's neuroscience. It's the alignment of mind and body with a defined purpose. The question is, will you continue rehearsing problems, or will you start rehearsing possibilities? Choose wisely, because your life will follow exactly what you rehearse in silence. How many times have you believed you weren't creative enough? How many times have you been told you weren't born with that gift? That creativity was for artists, inventors, exceptional people, and that you were too normal for it. Maybe you heard this at school or even at home. Stop dreaming, get back to reality. That doesn't make money. And you believed it. You believed it so much that you stopped trying, stopped imagining, stopped creating. But let me tell you something few people dare to say. Everyone is creative, without exception. The difference is that some chose to use that creativity, and others chose to bury it under fear, doubt, comparison, and shame. And that's so serious, because what I see most are incredible, talented people trapped in a cycle of scarcity, not for lack of ability, but for lack of courage to imagine something different. They think they don't deserve it, that they don't have what it takes, that they were born to live a mediocre life. But that's a lie. It's a lie that society repeats so much that it becomes true in people's minds. Now tell me, how many times have you had a good idea and abandoned it? How many times have you thought about starting something but didn't feel ready enough? How many times have you looked at someone successful and thought, oh, but they got lucky? What if I told you that the only difference between you and that person might be the image each of you holds of yourselves? I see this all the time. Brilliant people who self-sabotage because they believe more in their own fears than in their own ideas. And look, creativity isn't a rare gift. It's a tool already inside you. But if you don't use it, it falls asleep. If you don't practice it, it rusts. And if you believe you're not creative, guess what? Your mind will obey. It always obeys. I always say, we have gigantic corporations with minuscule creative departments. And do you know why? Because most people were taught not to think for themselves. They were trained to repeat, follow orders, obey. And that kills creativity, because being creative requires questioning. It requires the courage to imagine something new, to not accept what's there as definitive. Creativity is a direct extension of your imagination. When you train your mind to see solutions instead of problems, you become more creative. When you start imagining possibilities instead of tragedies, you start seeing opportunities where you once only saw obstacles. Walt Disney was called a lunatic for believing he could build a park where adults and children would live a waking dream. They said no one would pay for it, that it was a foolish idea, that he should grow up and get a real job. But he believed more in the image he had in his head than in the reality before his eyes. And that made all the difference. Today, what was once seen as delirium is a global empire. Now answer me, what have you failed to build because someone called you a dreamer? You don't need the approval of others to imagine. You just need to decide to believe more in what's inside you than what's outside. And when you start imagining clearly, consistently, emotionally, something inside you starts to move. You start having ideas you wouldn't have had before. You start noticing paths you didn't see before. You start behaving like someone who can, deserves, and creates. And it doesn't matter your profession. It doesn't matter if you work with art or numbers. Creativity is your ability to shape the invisible. It's what transforms an idea into action, a thought into a project, a desire into a result. But this only happens if you commit to stop diminishing yourself, to stop repeating stories that weren't even created by you, and start building a new identity where you recognize yourself as someone capable of creating your own path. You can live a whole life trapped in a reality you didn't choose, or you can use 3 minutes of your day to imagine with all your might the life you want to live. And that choice, no one can make for you. If you've come this far, it's because somewhere inside you, the desire to change still pulsates. That's why I want to propose a challenge. But first, let me tell you something you may never have heard so directly. You already have everything you need. The problem is that you're not using it, and you're not using it because you haven't truly believed in the power you have within yourself. Your mind is a creative tool. It wasn't made just to survive. It was made to imagine, design, shape, and manifest, but it only does this when you command it, when you take control. And now is the time to do this consciously. So here's the challenge. It's simple, but it requires commitment. For the next 30 days, you'll set aside 3 minutes of your day. 3 minutes, no more, no less. And in those 3 minutes, you'll disconnect from the world around you and immerse yourself in the image of the life you desire. You'll close your eyes and build in minute detail the scene of your accomplishment. You healthy, wealthy, free, loved, purposeful. You at your peak, you fulfilled, and you'll feel it. You'll breathe this image. You'll mentally live as if it were already true. You won't doubt. You won't negotiate with the sabotaging mind. You will simply be, and when it starts screaming, "This isn't real," you'll smile inside because you'll know that's your old self trying to stay alive. Your old self survives on doubt. Your new self is born from decision. It's like training a muscle. At first it hurts, it seems weak, but with the right repetition, it strengthens, and your mind works the same way. The more you train this image, the more natural it will become, and the more natural it seems. The more your behavior will begin to align with it. Your words will change, your choices will change, your actions will transform, and the world will react. Have you noticed how most people spend their time anticipating failure? They mentally rehearse arguments, layoffs, setbacks, embarrassments. It's using imagination, yes, but in a harmful, unconscious, destructive way. The consequence? Your life precisely reflects that negative expectation. I propose that you trade 3 minutes of anxiety for 3 minutes of creation. Do it in the bathroom, in the car, before bed, when you wake up. The place is irrelevant. The intention is fundamental. Because when your intention is strong enough, it starts influencing the environment around you. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. You don't need a foolproof plan, a crystal ball, or even a clue how you'll get there. What you do need is a burning vision of your best self. Think of it like this. Your brain is a powerful garden, and your thoughts are the seeds. If you plant weeds, doubt, fear, negativity, that's what will grow. But if you plant seeds of ambition, self-belief, and a clear picture of your ideal future, your life will blossom accordingly. Forget the how. That's the universe's job. Your role is to cultivate the what. What kind of life do you crave? What feelings do you long to experience? What impact do you want to make? Paint a vivid picture. Feel it in your bones. Make it so real, so vibrant, that it pushes aside the nagging doubts and the limiting beliefs holding you back. This isn't some airy-fairy self-help mumbo-jumbo. This is about harnessing the immense power of your mind, the untapped potential within. Commit just 3 minutes a day for 30 days to visualizing this future. No excuses, no exceptions, just 3 minutes of unwavering focus. Think of it as a sacred ritual, a promise to yourself, a down payment on your dreams. People often get stuck because they're paralyzed by analysis. They're so busy plotting every detail, they never actually start. They want the assurance of a paved path before they even take the first step. But life isn't a prepackaged journey, it's an adventure. And adventures require courage, not guarantees. I've been there. Leaving the fire department felt terrifying. No safety net, no fallback plan, just a gut feeling and a compelling image of what I wanted to create. That image was so potent, it eclipsed all my fears. And guess what? It worked. The truth is, extraordinary results often come from ordinary people taking extraordinary action. They don't wait for the perfect moment. They make the moment perfect through their commitment and consistent effort. They adapt, they pivot, they learn as they go. They don't overthink, they just do. So ditch the endless planning. Stop searching for a roadmap. Define your desired destination and start walking. Embrace the uncertainty, the unexpected twists and turns. The journey is the reward. And remember, the power to shape your reality begins within, with the unwavering image you hold in your mind. Now, go create your masterpiece. The video you're watching will offer more guidance on this transformational journey. I'm grateful you're here. Until next time.